Head of the abuse claims team and partner at Lead A Solicitors. We represent about 50 families at the Finchley Road Bright Horizons Nursery who are affected by this case. So I'm going to make a statement on behalf of the families we represent, and then I'm going to make a statement as their lawyer. So first of all, the family statement. We welcome the end of this particular process and are relieved that Vincent Chan is now behind bars for his sickening crimes. However, we still do not know the full extent of his offending at Bright Horizons, Finchley Road. Every family deserves the truth, and every child who suffered must see justice done. Bright Horizons must also be held to account. We believe their safeguarding failures created the perfect hunting ground for a predator. Chan was not a lone wolf, and this was not about his extraordinary technical skill. He was able to operate for years in a workplace where safeguarding failures were missed, minimised or ignored. Camden Council must use its powers to pursue Bright Horizons for breaches under the Health and Safety at Work legislation. A nursery must be a place of safety, not a place where children are put at risk. We are also using the Victims' Right to Review scheme to seek reconsideration of the neglect charges for which Chan was first arrested. Our children carry what was done to them. They deserve justice, and we will not stop until they have it. Finally, we are working with the government to ensure early years settings are closed to predators. Parents must be able to go to work with absolute confidence that their children are safe in the care of childcare providers. So I'm now going to make a statement as the lawyer for the 50 families whose children attended Bright Horizons Finchley Road, who are represented by Lead A. The litany of sexual offences for which Vincent Chan has been sentenced today is truly sickening. My team and I have many years' experience in representing survivors of abuse, but Chan's crimes, including as they do, offences against very young children, are particularly horrifying. And yet the impact of Chan's misconduct at Bright Horizons Finchley Road goes wider than the charges for which he has been sentenced today. He photographed other children in concerning and disturbing ways, enjoying their humiliation and ignoring their distress. And he shouted at, berated and mistreated them. For some of those children, there has been a lasting emotional impact, affecting their ability to trust adults. Parents are struggling mentally with the consequences of knowing, suspecting or fearing that their children have been harmed. This includes the anguish of knowing that, as there was no CCTV footage kept and the children victimised were so very young, the full extent of Chan's actions may never be known. Families are therefore living with the consequences of Chan's abuse every day. The whole nursery community has been impacted by this case. Our clients seek accountability against Chan and also against the Bright Horizons managers and the company for the safeguarding failures that allowed a persistent offender to work with young children for almost 7 years. It is horrifying to hear that he had been offending for a decade before he was employed at Bright Horizons Finchley Road. The families call on the relevant authorities to robustly investigate Bright Horizons policies and systems, including around digital safeguarding. Our clients say they repeatedly raised red flags. Accountability for this case cannot stop with one individual. Thank you.
That there a statement from the Lee Day abuse team who are representing the families. A statement from Alison Miller there who gave us the family's reaction and also her reaction as a lawyer and the legal case that they are now going to take forward. Hearing how the families welcome the end of this particular process and the fact that he is behind bars, but for so many of these families, it's just the uncertainty. They do not know the full extent of these crimes. They also say, though, that Bright Horizons Nursery must also face questions. Very clear that the families believe that their safeguarding procedures failed. They say that this man was not a lone wolf. He was not a technological genius. Also that the council must pursue Bright Horizons and a reconsideration, the families would like, of the neglect charges. They say our children deserve justice. Let's return to our national correspondent, Tom Parmenter, who has been following this case. It's just such an awful case, isn't it, Tom? And the statements on the steps from the police, the CPS and the families' legal teams just highlight that real fear that every parent who's ever had childcare will fear, that when children are so little, when they are non-verbal, you do trust absolutely with their lives those who are working in these kind of settings, in nursery settings around the country.
Yes, I have no doubt that the revulsion felt within the childcare industry in this country towards Vincent Chan is extreme, because it is, as you say, an environment that is heavily checked, that there are safeguarding procedures that are built into it, but something went horrendously wrong in the case of Vincent Chan, who was an employee of the Bright Horizons Nursery on Finchley Road in West Hampstead, North London. Bright Horizons is a leading chain of nurseries in the UK, and they have put out a statement in response to the sentencing that we've seen here of Vincent Chan being given 18 years for a catalogue of horrific abuse that goes back 2 decades in a primary school and then in this Bright Horizons nursery, where he was filming himself using iPads issued to the staff in that nursery, and then filming himself committing sexual acts and then creating manipulated images himself. A really appalling catalogue of abuse. And we know that the Bright Horizons nursery chain have said to us today, this is a very distressing time for families and all those impacted by Vincent Chan's horrific crimes. And our thoughts are first and foremost with them. Keeping children safe is our most important responsibility, they said. Vincent Chan broke that trust. His actions were depraved and devious and go against the kindness and care our dedicated professionals provide to children each day. They then explained that they have taken a number of steps to ensure that safeguarding, that whistleblowing procedures are better and that staff training is improved. They are cooperating with a local safeguarding investigation that is ongoing in North London regarding Vincent Chan's crimes that he has been sentenced for here at Wood Green Crown Court this afternoon. Very little emotion from him as he stood in the dock, but the families of some of the victims of Vincent Chan were in court listening to the detail, very clearly upset by what they were listening to and what they have been through since the police told them that their child had been in contact with Vincent Chan. The Metropolitan Police have informed 1,200 families who had children either in that primary school or in the Bright Horizons nursery on Finchley Road in North London that their child may have been connected or exposed to this serial paedophile. They've only been able to give clarity to a handful of families that they have established that he had abused their child. So many families are in this awful position of just not knowing whether or not their child had been abused. He was prosecuted and faced sentence today for the crimes where he had stored images or stored videos that he had created. They found over 1 million images on 69 different devices that Vincent Chan had, and the police have told us that they are confident that he did not share those with other networks of sex offenders, that he was, the police believe, acting alone. But a horrifying case that has raised really fundamental questions about safeguarding, about how this man was not stopped, and also what needs to change in nurseries around the country as a result of the appalling case of Vincent Chan.
Tom Parmenter for us there at Wood Green Crown Court. Thank you very much for now.